Hello YouTubers, today we're going to be talking about doing back shoes on a car. There's a couple new videos coming up. I've been asked to do videos on diagnostic machines and stuff. I'm kind of halfway through doing them. I just need a few more bits just to kind of put it all together, so that's coming. But today what we're doing is back shoes and cylinders. This happens to be on a 03 Skoda Fabia. Now as you can see, it might not show on camera, but basically it's leaking. So they tried to brake and the pedal went straight to the floor because the cylinders at the top have either broke or the seal's gone. The fluid's leaking out on both sides, so the pedal's gone straight to the floor, no brakes. First thing you need to do is obviously take off the wheel. Second thing, on this happens to have a big Phillips screw. Some of them don't, some of them have, like on the Volkswagens for example, they have an adjuster inside and you can just peel off the adjuster inside and the thing comes off. Some of them on like Fords, you just have, unfortunately, just have to hit them with a hammer and get them to slide out. They can be quite annoying. But this one has a little screw on it, but even to get it off can be annoying. So, easiest way to do it, you get a hammer and hit the screw like that, then get a screwdriver that you can hit. Put the screwdriver in, hit it with the hammer, but at the same time turn your wrist and it should come off quite easy. If you try and do it without doing this, you can round it. This is the easiest way. So I hold the actual hub, that's the word. I hold the hub with my arm, put the screwdriver in and just tip and turn. Now that's turned, as you can see there. If I was to try to do that any other way, you can damage it and then you have to drill it out and that becomes more annoying and everything that goes on it. So this might come off quite easy. Now as it turns out, this one is going to come off quite easy because obviously the shoes are worn, but not only that, all the liquid is on the shoes, so it's all clumped up. Now, as you can see, it's even worse than I thought. You can see all that. If you zoom in there, now there's absolutely nothing left on here. There's no pad left there at all. There's a little bit at the bottom, as you can see, and there's a little bit on this side, but that's the only reason that came off quite easy. And you can see all this. This is all brake dust. This has happened for a while. This, you know, you can normally feel it when this starts happening, but obviously don't let it go this far because this is dangerous. This woman actually more or less put this car in a ditch when it happened because she couldn't stop. So what we need to do now is, these are our shoes. We're replacing them, and this is our cylinder. So we need to strip all that off, clean it all, put the new stuff on, so we'll show you that. Now a couple of handy tricks to do on these before you maybe take them away is to get your phone out and take a few pictures, because there's a few springs. It's not difficult, but you know, if you're not used to them, you can easily forget where the springs go. Or what you can do is you can take off both sides at once and just basically work on one side, and if you get a problem, go to the other side and you can see where the springs are. But on here, if you just come in here this side, you see this little pin here and this spring that's showing up. Now that is the adjuster, and what you do is, same on Volkswagens as well, if you can't get the shoe off, you put, this is just a pointy tool, you put it when the hub is on, like this. So if the hub was still on, you would get a torch, you'd see where it is. Hopefully if you can put the camera in there, you might be able to see it, I don't know. No, you can't see it, but anyway, you'll be able to see it with your eyes. You put this tool in and you can flick it up and that will release the brakes a lot easier. So what we need to do now is take off these two clips here. They're spring-loaded clips with like a nail almost all the way through, and that's what holds the actual shoes on, so I'm going to take off them first. All you need to do is get some pliers. I just happen to be using adjustable pliers, and you hold on the outside of this, press in to push the spring in. It's quite hard, especially when it's all gunked up, and turn 180 degrees, and as you turn, that will just release. Now I'll show you now. This comes all the way through. basically you have a pin that is obviously got two little nubs on each end, and that comes through the spring, goes through the spring, and as you turn it locks on, and obviously that the brake in between then gives it its compression to hold the brake in. So you just literally push the spring down, turn it 180 degrees, and it pops through. That's how they come on. Simple as that, really. So we're going to take the other one off. This one's all caked up. 180 degrees, pops off. Now, they're off. Now there's nothing really, apart from the handbrake cable, that's holding these brakes on. What I like to do now, this is where I like to do it. Just get a screwdriver and release the two bottom clips, just like that. Just release that, over there. Do the same with this one. And that's released that, so this clip now really isn't doing anything. It might come off or it might not, it doesn't really matter. Now as you can see, that is now completely loose. Now at this stage you have two options. You can either take these springs off, or even just take the bottom spring off, bend it around and it'll come out to you. But this hub gets in the way. It's possible, but this hub comes off in seconds. You get a flat blade screwdriver and just knock off this cap. Now you're going to need a 11 or 12 sided socket. Now these are two 30mm sockets. One's got, I think it's 11 or 12 sides. The other's got 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 even, sorry. And as you can see, when you look into them, you can see the difference. They're both the same size. The ordinary socket doesn't fit on it. You could mostly put a 32mm socket on it, but you could do damage. This is a 30mm socket, and as you can see, it goes straight on. You don't have to take this off. I just prefer it because it just makes your life a lot easier. It means you can just get into this so much easier. Just get the air gun, again, which makes your life so much easier. That comes off. That, as you can see, look, just slides out. It's as simple as that. Now the dog can see the rabbit. Do you know, you can just see this so much easier now with that out of the way. Now if that took half an hour to get off, I'd say to you, look, don't bother, there's no point. But because it only takes a couple of seconds, you might as well bloody do it! Now what we need to do is just disconnect the handbrake cable. The other good thing about doing it this way is you can take this off completely with all the springs intact. So that means you can basically build this on the bench with your new ones, and you can see exactly what you're doing. This was the adjuster I was telling you about. So when you put this through your hub, it goes in this little hole here, and you can just, obviously I can't do it now, but you can slide that up. That will pull the brakes in, and that means the hub will come off so much easier. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to disconnect this and then give this a good clean. Now what we're going to do now is just going to disconnect the handbrake. This can be a bit tricky because there's a spring here and it clips into this arm here, and this is, especially with it being very dirty, this is a messy job. The other thing is, I'd say, yeah, this bar here should be nice and free, and actually it's all seized. So the handbrake can't, this should move quite easy. The handbrake can't even work in this car properly either. So what we need to do is, it's going to get very messy now, but we need to move this around. Now, we need to pull that spring back and slide that bolt out, kind of like that. In this spring is just like a metal rope, and we just need to roll that around. But I can assure you it sounds easy in what it is, because the spring is a nightmare. So if you could slide this out like that, it would make things a lot easier, but it's completely seized, so it only moved a little bit. Now, basically, if you can see the way that clip is, I'll show you on the new ones a lot easier, but because you can't really see. But the best thing about this now is we can build this on the bench and we can see exactly what we're doing. But what we need to do now is we need to clean all this and take off the cylinder. Right, just a bit of advice as well. Even if your cylinder isn't leaking, but you need to put new shoes on, replace the cylinder. Just replace everything, because you won't have to then, if you put new shoes on and 6 months later that cylinder leaks, you have to put new shoes and cylinders. It's a waste of money. So whenever you're doing anything like this, regardless, replace the lot. It's a lot safer and you're not going to get any as much grief. Now the way I'm going to clean this, is a few ways of cleaning it. You can use basically like a rag, a wire brush and some air. You can use brake cleaner. I'm using degreaser, but you want to make sure whatever you use, you don't use stuff like WD-40, because WD-40 stays, it doesn't evaporate. Whatever cleaning fluid you want to use, you want to make sure it evaporates, because otherwise if that gets stuck in your brakes, they're not going to work properly. The degreaser stuff I have, once you spray it on, it evaporates and you can wipe it off. Brake cleaner evaporates. WD-40, anything like that, it doesn't evaporate, so you don't want to use it. But basically you just really need to get in here with a rag, bit of air, this is messy, and just literally squirt and clean. The cleaner you get this, the easier and the better it is it's going to be for yourself. And you can see, all I've done is spray that, and you can see the muck and crap that's coming off that. So there's no point filming the rest of this. We're just going to clean it, and then once we've cleaned it, we'll turn the camera back on. Now as you can see, we've cleaned it. Now you're not going to get this thing absolutely immaculate because there's a lot of stuff there. Basically what we've done is we've just got all the old brake dust off, and it's nice, but there's still a few bits of wet, but that'll all dry up. And that's all you're basically really looking for, just to get it, all the old bits of brake dust off and nice and clean. Now one thing I will say also, if it was your own car, and what I would be advising you to do is to also replace your handbrake cables. Because these ones could be seized. You can't really test them unfortunately, but they could be. Now obviously this is a customer's car, they're getting a good few bits of work doing to it, so they didn't want to do absolutely everything, which is understandable as well. But especially you doing it yourself, replace your handbrake cables, just replace everything. Honestly, it's going to cost you a few more quid in the beginning, but it's going to save you a shitload of hassle in the long run. Best thing to do. What we're going to do now is we're going to take off the cylinder. Don't take off the cylinder until you're ready to put the new one on, because you're going to lose brake fluid. Now we've lost most of brake fluid in this anyway, but it's just best just to take the old one out and put the new one in kind of straight away. Now we have the new shoes here, and as you can see, obviously apart from the colour difference, you can see how thick the actual brake shoe is compared to, obviously there's just nothing there. Now another thing to be aware of, there is a left and a right side. This can only go on the right hand side. Now it is marked R and the other one is marked left. And again with the other sides, they can only go on one way. This little mark here, or this little raised edge, has to slit in to this one here. So again, you can't really go wrong. They won't go together any other way but the right way. So that's good. And as you can see, what I was saying, this should be really nice and free. So when you pull the handbrake, it puts it onto the hub, and when you release the handbrake, that goes straight back. On this, because you can't move it, it's really stiff. When you pull the handbrake will stay on, which is just wearing these down. So that's basically it. So what we need to do now is just need to transfer all that across to there. Can be a bit fiddly, especially when they're this messy, but it's simple enough. So the first thing I'm going to do, this one just comes out the bottom. There's no tension on this one now. Now I was going to get a rag to clean this as I go, so just to make it easier for myself. Now the next springs are under tension, so what we have to do is get some pliers and just release the tension of them. Now I'm just going to release this one by hand because it's not very tight and it's just for the tensioner, so that one can go. Now, hope this will come across on camera. There's two, you can't really see because it's absolutely caked up full of crap. But these two springs are basically holding the tension bar and connecting the two together. It's just, so you can see a bit easier. One spring goes in, right, I'll do it this way. It's just very difficult to see, I don't know if it's coming through on camera. You can see the edge of that. That's one of the springs. Now we can release that with pliers. You have to be careful because these can spring up. But I'm just getting this and I'm just going to try and release. Be careful because it can spring up back in your face, and believe me, it hurts. Not the first time it's happened. Fiddly. Now that's more or less come off. It's just holding on by a little bit. Get a flat blade screwdriver. Now,
there you go.
Let's release one of them. You have to release it from this side because I'll show you. Because of the way it's shaped, so you have to release it from this hook side, because basically what happens is this goes through and hooks round like that, so you can't release that side because of the way it's shaped, so you have to release the hook side. But again, just clean this just so you don't get as bogging, but you can see what you need to do. You give that a quick wire brush and a bit of a wipe as well, no harm. Now, as you can see, that is literally released the two apart, and you can see the difference, how thick this pad is, and there's just no pad there, how grimy that is. Now the other spring is holding this section onto the other side. This is the little tensioner here for your brakes. Slide off now. That's a little tension for your brakes. There's a little nipple here which lines up, you know, with the hook going on the outside. I don't think it really matters, but I just like to put it back that way. It does go back in that way, or it can twist round. So that's that. But again, just leave everything down in sequence so you know exactly where you're putting everything back if you can't remember. And if you're really unsure, you can either take a picture like I said, or leave the other one off so you can see exactly where it is. This other one is a clip here as well, exactly the same as the last one, a clip in there. So we're going to remove this clip again. This one should be a lot easier. See all that crap. Now that has now released this bar. Open up this, if I can. To open up this before this will allow it to come out. Now, should be enough. Oh. Now, we need to keep this bar. This is the only thing we need to keep after on the springs. This bit you don't get new. But as you can see, the state of it already. So again, nice and clean. Now, this is all our bits we need for one side. So we have our two brake shoes, 3 clips, the little adjuster or spring should I say, and the bar between. Now it's very simple. Again, you can't really go wrong because the bar is different at both ends. The end of the little hook has to go with the side that connects onto your handbrake. Now again, like I said, if you're unsure of this, you
go to a mechanic.
Go to a mechanic. Or if you don't want to go to mechanic, this is the one off the other side. You can keep this complete and you can work off that if you're unsure. So that's a good tip. But anyway, basically, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to do the big spring first because it's a lot easier. So the big spring, so just basically don't forget to put the adjuster in, and the big spring then goes in. So it goes in the hole right next to the big long bar. You can't really go wrong. That just goes in and twists. This hook then needs to hook in and around there. So a few ways of doing it, but as long as you do it, doesn't really matter how. And you have to be careful of. Like I've just slipped off there, and that can hurt a lot. So you can either use a screwdriver to try and hook it around, but you have to be careful. You can slip, or you can get pliers or something like that. Hold them against the vise and push, and kind of use your own body weight to get them on. But again, you have to be careful because this spring is strong, and they do have a tendency to spring and hit you. Believe me, I know. Now that spring is in. It's clipped in there. It's in and around there. That isn't going anywhere. And now you've done that, what I like to do is just get this spring. You can do this by hand. This is the spring for the adjuster, and just put that on. That side's now set. Now the other side. Again, you can only put it on one way. There's a little hook thing here, and that you have to slide the handbrake bar out, put it over the top, and slide it in. Now that's slid in, that won't come out. The only way that'll come out is if the handbrake cable comes off like that. So if your handbrake cable's all the way in, that won't go in. So as you can see, it won't go in. So you have to slide the handbrake cable up, or the handbrake bar, until that little notch slips around it, and then it goes in. Now we can put the second spring in, just to hold everything in place. The second spring again is the same as the first spring, but a lot lighter. There's a hooked end and there's a bent end. The bent end has to go in first, and it goes in the little hole right next to it, the same as the other one. And then there's a hole just in the bar a bit further down for the hook end to go in. This should be quite easy. It's a lot lighter spring. Let's grab it. Now there'll be a bit of tension on it, but that doesn't matter. That is now the top half made up. It's all together, it can't really move, can't do anything. And the final thing is just put the bottom spring on. I like to do it now. Now, that's all the way in, that's complete. All we got to do is put up the handbrake cable, and that will stick back in the car. Put in the handbrake cable and put on the little springs that go either side of here. But we have a problem now, and our problem is our cylinders. I'll show you here with our new cylinders. These are new cylinders, but unfortunately they're wrong. So it's always best before you take anything off just to double check to make sure the parts that have come are correct. So I'm going to have to wait for new parts to come. I'm going to build the other side of the brakes, and then hopefully try and get these today. If not, we'll get them tomorrow. This is the problem. This is the problem with parts. When you buy them, not all the time they're right, which can be really annoying. But it's just life, isn't it? Now, YouTubers, we started this video about 3-4 days ago, believe it or not. Obviously this was supposed to be done, and as you can see, when we left it, the old cylinders were in. Now, I had, well, not me personally, but my girlfriend had a baby the other day, and I'm the daddy. So what we had to do, unfortunately, was John, who you can't see, he's there, the lazy fella. He was obviously here when I was away, so he did a few bits. So I'm just going to talk through what he did. It was very simple. All he basically did was put the cylinders on, because it was really easy. So that's why he did it. And basically it's just one little 8mm or 10mm bolt goes behind it. There's a bleed nipple that goes there, which is here. And then there's the brake line that goes into it. It's very simple. So it's just one little bolt, a brake line, and then that's how that goes in. So that's as simple as that. Bleeding it will show you how to bleed it. So we're basically on to putting the shoes on. Now, there's a couple ways of doing this. When you're on your own, it can be an absolute nightmare. Because what you're trying to do is to pull this spring back and get that spring to hook in side there. Now, on some of them, like I said, it's easy to do. This spring is really tight. Now, if you've got a friend or someone with you, it's quite easy to do with two people. One person can pull it, the other person can hold it. But the way I like to do it, you need cable tie, adjustable pliers, pin nose vice grips, and a normal pair of pliers. And this is the way I do it when I'm on my own. I put the adjustable grips on the end of the brake line and I put this over it as tight as you can. This just gives you an extra pair of hands. So I bring it down right to the end and tighten it. So that basically holds there. Then I hold that with the side of my body. You find that funny, don't you? Very childish. You finished? Right, this is where it gets quite tricky. You need, with the pliers, you need to pull back the spring like that, and then at the same time you need to grab and put these in on the wire in behind the spring. So what I'm going to try and do is, I'm going to try and do it when we film it. Push it back as far as you can. Just get it in first. Nah. It's not in enough, as you can see, the pliers are inside now, but I need to get that further back. So, looks a bit tricky, and it is. Typical, I've done the other side quite easy, but as soon as this is being filmed, it's been a bit of a nightmare. Oh, it's going back. Ready?
Go.
You're just zooming in on this, and not particularly me. Alright, you just got to grab it and pull it. You have to be quick. Right, I need a little bit more gap there. You can see I'm getting there. Maybe twice as much as that. Should be fine. Now, see that little bit of a gap? We should get away with that. So what you need to do, now you need to make sure this is the right way. You can only go one way. Okay? So, as you can see, it's important that this lever is at the back. You shouldn't be able to see most of it. It's at the back. If it's like that, you put the wrong side on. So we don't want to see that. So what you need to do now, you need to open this out with a hand. And we need to put the wire in between this slot. Again, sounds quite simple. Now, as you can see, that's just in there now. So I'm going to release the pliers because that's stopping me. Slide it in there. Release this. Now as you can see, this is behind and it's trapped itself in. So the block is behind and the spring is this side. And then this literally just will fit in the hole. You have to push these back with your fingers. And as you can see, that is now more or less in place. We've got to put a few of the springs and stuff on. So we'll just put the springs and stuff on now, but as you can see, that's more or less in place now. Now, the next thing I want to do is to put the little clips back on, which actually hold the shoes in place. And they have obviously like this little nail with these nubs on the end, and they have this little spring, and at the end of the spring there it is, this little connection, and basically comes in from underneath, comes out, push it through, turn it 180 degrees, and it locks back into place. So we're going to do that one now. So I just use adjustable pliers, line up the shoe, put it in from underneath, and you can see that just where it's coming up through. And what I like to do is get it in my adjustable pliers like that, and then I can push the pliers in and turn it 180 degrees whilst with my finger holding the little nail at the back. So it's just a case of going in, just twist it a little even, going in and turn 180 degrees, and that's it, screwed in. Same on this side. So again, same on this side, line everything up. Don't want to go in the way of the camera. Now as you can see, it comes through here. Pliers again, hold it straight, finger at the back, push and twist 180 degrees, and that's it. Now them shoes are basically bolted back into the car, you could say. The last thing we need to do is put the bottom spring on. Now you could have put the bottom spring on, left it on, got a couple of screwdrivers and put it in. See, you can either, I'll show you both ways, you can either do it this way, grab that, pull it, let me do it the other way, I'll be able to see it a bit easier on camera. Put it in that hole first. And then literally pull it across to this hole here. Like I said, if you can't remember, if you take a picture of it, you can't really go wrong. So that's the way I'm going to do it. Get in the way. This takes a bit of, can take a bit of strength because it's very tight. Now, unfortunately, kick the camera as well. Just now, as you can see, the spring is in. I obviously got in the way, but all I basically did, I put it in that hole first, grabbed this end, pulled the tension of the spring, slot it into place. Now, we're really close now. The next stage, now the final stage. Some of these have adjusters along here, and you have to literally get a screwdriver and you spin them around, and you have to put the actual hub on and take it on and off, because sometimes it's either too loose or too tight. This one is one of the better ones to do. It's really easy. As I showed you again, this arm up here with a little hole in, this actual pin. What you do is, now it's easy if you have someone to do it with you. If not, you get a bar and you wedge the brake pedal between the seat. But basically what you do is, now we know we've got this on and everything's on, we now need to put the hub on. Well, actually, before we do that, sorry, we need to put back the wheel bearing. A little bit of a wiggle. Now, It's just been one of them days. Get on. Now that's on. Remember I told you it was like a funny 12-sided socket. So you want to tighten this good and tight. I can speak German. Wrong way. That way might help. And you also want to give it, it's got a big lever bar here. Just going to give it a bit of a squeeze. Now, so we're now literally ready to go. And what we need to do, I'm going to try, it's going to be a bit difficult to do this on camera, but basically you line up one of the holes in the hub with the little pin that came down. Now I'm going to try and do this as best I can to show you, but basically as you can see we're all good to go. What you need to do, the way I do it, is you've got the little screw there which has to line up with the screw there. So just literally put this on. This should just slide on nice and easy. It does just line up that. Now what you need to do, obviously you put the screw back, and then if you've got someone with you, you line up the hole. Now that's it. What you do is you have two options. You either wedge the foot brake with a like a steel rod against the seat to hold the brake down, or you get your mate to do it. Whichever way you do it anyway, you need to line this up until you can see that little pin. Get him to press the brake, you slide the point end in to the hole that's there, and you literally, this just clips up and you can't go any further. It just literally lifts up. They release the brake and that is automatically adjusted. It binds a little bit and then it's free, but that's how you do it basically. I can't show you on camera because unfortunately it's not going to show you through the hole. So basically put this through the hole, get them to press the brakes, lift it up. Oh, my hand's in the way. Put it through there, lift it up, slide it down like that because you're pushing down on it. That's it. Sorted. After you've done that, what we need to do then is we need to just lift it up a bit. We need to bleed the cylinders at the back, and I'll show you how to do that. So I'm just going to pull these pins down and then I'm going to show you how to bleed them. Now a slight change of plan. Unfortunately my single pump machine for one man bleed is leaking. So lucky enough someone's just came down and we're going to bleed it. It's a 7mm. What I'm going to get him to do, he's going to pump the pedal till it goes hard. Now unfortunately YouTube is a bit of a cock up. I don't know what I've done to the end of this video, but I've lost the files. I don't know if I've deleted them or if I didn't record them properly, I don't know. But basically all we're doing is, if you've got someone to help you, he's pumping the pedal. As soon as he feels it go hard, he keeps the pressure on the pedal. I release the 7mm bolt at the back. The fluid comes out, the pedal go all the way down. I tighten up the nut and he keeps pumping. And you keep repeating that over and over again. And what happens is air comes out and you can see the air bubbles coming out and the fluid. And then eventually when he does maybe 2 or 3 presses and the pedal goes hard instantly, you know you've got it. It can take a bit, especially with this car because they lost all the fluid, so we had to go around all 4 wheels. But if you're just doing the back and you're just replacing them, it shouldn't be too difficult. But only the cylinders that have got air in, so you only have to do it a few times. But that's basically how you do it. And the pedal goes really hard when the engine's off. And when you start, obviously, the engine and drive it, you have a pedal. It's as simple as that. Hope this video helps anyway. Don't forget, subscribe, thumbs up the videos, and get your hands dirty. See you for the next one.